Are pre-workout supplements safe for young athletes?
This young man had purchased raw caffeine powder and saw some of his favorite influencers, out on social media making their own pre-workout. So figured, hey, I'll make my own too. Well, again, you're not a chemist, and playing with raw caffeine powder is very dangerous. But what he did was he made this pre-workout for himself that he drank before the gym and ended up having a heart attack and passed away. And essentially what the physician said was the amount of caffeine powder that he put into this pre-workout was equivalent to drinking 50 cups of coffee. Extremely dangerous.
Today's video is a conversation between myself and Don Hooton Jr. from the Taylor Hooton Foundation. And Don travels the country with his team, giving presentations to help educate families about the harms and dangers of performance and appearance-enhancing substances. So today we're going to jump in and talk about pre-workout supplements and whether they're safe for young people.
As these become more popular, and they really have, really come into the picture just over the past 6 or 7 years, but these are going to be products that are designed to increase heart rate, core temperature, really get a muscle pump prior to working out. That's why they get that super, super cool name. But we're seeing more and more students that are using these, especially even into middle schools. But I've heard stories years ago where you had middle school and high school students that were taking their pre-workout and mixing it with their energy drink. And today, you're seeing some of this behavior take place right out on social media. But there have been stories, and even one of recent, where this young man had purchased raw caffeine powder and saw some of his favorite influencers, out on social media making their own pre-workout. So figured, hey, I'll make my own too. Well, again, you're not a chemist, and playing with raw caffeine powder is very dangerous. But what he did was he made this pre-workout for himself that he drank before the gym and ended up having a heart attack and passed away. And essentially what the physician said was the amount of caffeine powder that he put into this pre-workout was equivalent to drinking 50 cups of coffee. Extremely dangerous.
I usually start my morning off with less than 50 cups of coffee. Generally between 0 and 1 or between 0 and 2. So
and even for the heavy coffee drinkers, 50 sounds like a lot, but nothing is going to replace energy if you've got a great diet plan in place. You're eating really well. Sleep is super important. Consuming water throughout the day, and just making sure that you're working out. If you're doing all of those things right, there's no need to reach for one of these super expensive pre-workout products.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So what is in most of these pre-workouts?
You're going to have things like, obviously, high doses of caffeine. Mm-hmm. If you go out and you look at a few of them, I've purchased them, I've looked at them, I've gone through the store, I've gone online. They're going to have, some of them have over 400 milligrams of caffeine in them. You'll see some that will have taurine, some that will have guarana. Guarana is something that also contains caffeine. The taurine is going to affect the caffeine as well by essentially amplifying the effects of the caffeine in those products. So we're talking about multiple stimulants that are found in some of these products that, they're all targeted at our cardiovascular system. That's what they are designed to do, is increase heart rate, which is why we label these things as high risk. And we highly encourage young people and even parents, educate yourselves on this, number one, educate your young people on this. And two, if your young person really, really, really has to have a pre-workout, sit down and ask them why. There's a reason that they're tired. There's a reason they need this boost of energy just to get in a workout or go to practice.
Yeah, and that's always been my take. I was a hardworking athlete in college, and we didn't have pre-workout. It was like kind of a new thing coming onto the market, and I was aware of it, but it's like, I don't need that. Like, I go to bed, I wake up, if I need a little energy, maybe I'll have like a cup of coffee, but I wasn't even a big coffee drinker back then. But it's like, if you really care about, your fitness goals, whatever, or your sporting goals, like getting bigger, getting faster, getting stronger, throwing harder, whatever it is, just get in the weight room and work hard. And if you don't have the energy, look at yourself. Am I getting enough sleep? If you're only getting 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep because you're up playing video games too late, or you're just not, on a good sleep schedule, that's the biggest thing that needs to change. And your nutrition, eat healthy foods, eat a lot of it, support your goals with actual food. If you do those things, you get 8+ hours of sleep and you eat healthy stuff, you absolutely don't need this. And that's my big problem, is it just ends up being a Band-Aid, and an unhealthy one, especially for young people. Because if you need a pre-workout to get through your football practice as a 16-year-old, there's major problems that are going to hold you back from a career in college sports or pro sports anyway. You need to address that now, because the foundation of the house is built on, like, styrofoam rather than concrete, which would be the good sleep habits, the good nutritional habits.
Correct. And having the opportunity to work around a lot of professional athletes that are at the peak of their sport, making a lot of money, I always like to ask the question, are you consuming energy drinks? Do you consume pre-workouts? And I have yet to meet one that has said, yes, I have an energy drink every day, or, I've got to have a pre-workout before our lift. I've yet to meet one athlete that has ever told me that.
Yeah, and then the reason is, like, obvious, because they treasure their health, and they know that healthy food is, like, the number one priority, and they know that they hit better, they pitch better, they do everything better when they have a good night's sleep under their belt. Now, like minor league baseball, being on the overnight bus rides, those are rough. And you wake up on 3 hours of sleep, stagger into the hotel, whatever. But even then, pounding energy drinks is not the solution, and pounding pre-workout to go play is not the solution, because it throws you into this terrible cycle. It's just like any other addictive substance almost. It's just, yeah. So that doesn't surprise me at all that when you're talking with high level, the highest level pro athletes, that they're not putting this junk in their body. And parents, you got to put your foot down. If your kid asks for the stuff, like you said, Don, it needs to be a dialogue about, like, what's up? Like, why are we at this place where you can't go to basketball practice or, have a morning workout without a crazy dose of stimulants?
Yeah, what I love to tell parents, especially young people too, is if you can master your nutrition program and your sleep program now, you will be leaps and bounds above your competitors as you move up from high school to college, and college to even professional sports. You take some of the best athletes that have been in professional sports with the longest careers and ask them what kept them in the game so long. The first thing they're going to tell you is their nutrition program.
And it's just like anything else. Like, there's no magic bullet. There's no, these three easy hacks made me a D1 athlete. It's never that way. It's you show up every day and you work. You show up and you go to the batting cage for an extra half hour when your teammates went home. You prioritized all the bedrock things, your routines, your practice, your healthy habits, your skill work, the gritty, unsexy stuff, right? Again, just like getting extra ground balls when you're really tired after a regular practice. That's the stuff that makes you a really high level athlete one day. And those are the things that continue to make, men and women stick at the highest level, is that they continue to stick to their routines and they get the work done, and they cover all of the foundational, habits that keep them honed and ready to play.
Correct. There are no shortcuts. If there was a pill, powder, canned drink out there that made us all professional athletes, or that made us all great at whatever we do, everybody would be drinking them. Everybody would be making $10, $15, $20 million and playing professional sports. It's just that it's simply not the case. And what we're trying to do, hopefully together, is really inspire young people to do things the right way through food, nutrition, and exercise.
100%. So, Don, what are your recommendations for parents of young athletes when it comes to pre-workout, both in, like, how they should talk to their kids about it and what they should be allowing them to take?
I think the first thing is really to educate yourself, to understand what these products are, what is the research behind them, what are the risks associated with taking these products. It would be number one. But number two is when you're a young person, because they are going to come to you and ask you, I want to take a pre-workout. You'll now be educated on it. But most importantly, sit down with that person and ask them, what specifically is in this pre-workout that you need that's going to help, number one, either make you a better human being, that's going to help your performance, or the most important thing, that's going to take care of your health. And if they can't answer those three things, or they just say, I'm tired, well, there's things that we can do for our young people to help, obviously relieve that tiredness. And that's going to be sleep and nutrition.
So be sure to follow up with Don Hooton and his amazing organization, the Taylor Hooton Foundation. You'll find information on them in the description of this video. They travel around the country. They do programs educating parents, coaches, and athletes about the dangers of performance and appearance enhancing supplements. So definitely check them out. And if you'd love to have them come out and do a presentation at your school, reach out, because they'd be glad to make the trip. So thanks again for watching. And again, be sure to subscribe and check out Don Hooton and his foundation in the description below.